Hey everyone, it's the Geeky Gamer. Lately I've been going back and doing commentaries of the GMod animations I made throughout this year, and we're finally on to the last and the biggest one. Kris and Susie's Weird Route Across the Multiverse. Let's not waste any more time because this is a long one, so strap yourselves in.
Hey, maybe things took a weird route right now.
And that's the line that spawned the entire thing. So at the start of Deltarune Chapter 4, if you're doing a weird route, eventually Susie will drop that, hey, maybe things took a weird route right now. And as soon as the fandom saw that, title drop in the line, they exploded into making tons of memes about Kris and Susie, usually Kris and Susie going to various different fandom worlds and stuff and dropping the title, or even just dropping the title in different parts of Deltarune. And so I had started compiling some ideas to do some screenshots, just making them up in Gmod of them going to different worlds and turn that into a Reddit post or something, which would probably not have made it to the Deltarune Reddit for a while because they effectively locked down the subreddit to only people with 5,000 karma, 5,000 post karma. It was nuts. But I was having those ideas, and I decided to just take it further and make it into a full animation. So this was the first one that wasn't just based on an existing audio that I just animated over. And before we get going, I really want to shout out the map. This is a full hometown map for Gmod, and it's got just about every location, plus a bit of Castletown. It's really just the main section of Castletown, none of the interiors, but it's got interiors for pretty much all the other buildings of hometown. And not long before I started making this, they added the Chapter 4 stuff. So that's how we got the church. Technically, Kris and Susie should be in their church clothes, but there's no models for that, so I just put them in their standard outfits. These models are from 2018, 2019 or something, but I still wanted to use them. Someone made some kind of low poly design models, but I wanted to use these ones because they actually have face posing rather than just different textures. And also I did some of my first voice acting in this. Well, not technically my first voice acting on the channel, because I did a little bit of voicing Clench in my April Fool's video. But I definitely put in a lot more voice acting work here, because I was voicing Susie in every scene.
I swear to the angel as the soul makes me do anything else to Noelle.
So then there's Kris's internal monologue. I could have had Kris, just say, I swear to God. Seems Christianity is possibly recognized in the Deltarune universe, because Susie does drop a couple of references to God. But I decided to just go with the angel. And for this shot, where we got Noelle in here, I was originally planning for the camera to be facing towards where Noelle is facing. And so because of that, there's actually two characters off screen. Toriel and Rudy are just off screen, right in front of Noelle. But I never ended up having the camera point their way, so they just never appear.
I will yeet it into a trash can and kick the living daylights out of it.
And yeah, obviously, Kris did do that. And also, if you listen closely, it's really hard to hear because I turned down the volume, but while Susie's talking, she is actually saying the lines that she says during that scene after, hey, maybe things took a weird route right now. So it's a detail that practically no one's going to hear. I didn't even put it in the subtitles, but it's there. I think that's maybe how long between the church sequence and, well, yeah, definitely over 12 hours later, probably. Because they went to church in the morning, they didn't get home until late at night, so probably over 12 hours, I think. Gotta say, this part was really hard to do the filter that I put on to just kind of make it darker and more bluish. And yeah, you can hear Sans and Toriel talking in the background.
That trash can thing earlier was crazy. Valid crash out, though. I deserve that. Did you see what I made you do to her? This route was so messed up.
There's a little bump in the audio. I can't unhear it. Personality I went with for the soul was just basically, gamer soul. The one that is literally just seeing this as a game. That whole meme of, Kris doing the airport security thing and asks, are you a terrorist? And the soul is hovering over yes, I paid $25 for this game, I gotta see everything. And I'd seen a lot of stuff about, the soul being man, this is messed up. Or dang, valid crash out, Kris. So I just really like that funny interpretation of the soul's personality as literally just a player.
You think Sans is really boning your mom down there? Right, you can't really hear me.
That does sort of come into play later in the animation, where no one can hear the soul, and That is actually like sort of like a small tragedy in Deltarune that like, even if the player wants to help Kris, they aren't really able to express that. So, and Kris isn't really able to know that like the soul is on their side, that the player is on their side.
Okay.
Something I kind of like is that the sound that I've got
Down
for
there?
the
Right? You can't really hear me.
sound that I got for the transition
Okay.
card gets cut off a bit, and that does end up getting taken to the extreme later on.
Festival day. I want to check on Ralsei and everyone first.
Susie's finger posing is not great with this model. And also Festival Day, which means this is meant to take place during Chapter 5, which obviously isn't out yet at the time of making this. That's coming out next year. But we know that the next day is Festival Day.
Yes, please, I don't want this parasite steering me.
I probably should have closed the door in the back there. And, you know, Kris is talking about they don't want the soul steering them towards Noelle, especially because of what happened with the continuation of the weird route. And Carol calling them over the phone to say that Noelle is excited to see them tomorrow at the festival. And so, like, we still don't know what exactly is going to happen there, but does not seem good.
Anywhere towards Noelle after yesterday.
I love this clip, though. So on this map, if you get close enough to the closet door in the school, it teleports you to a separate part of the map with just a clone of the hallway and the door open, and it kind of, you know, pushes you in and to do the whole, you know, Dark World entrance thing to go into Castletown. So I had to bring Kris and Susie over to that cloned hallway, and also I had to stay far away enough from the door so that it didn't send me in there. Well, actually, no, I did stay in there. Oh, I'm just now for the first time seeing something. So I had Kris and Susie moving at the same time, which the way I did that was I put in a little prop, which I actually used the soul prop, and then made that soul invisible and welded both of them to it. And then I just moved the soul, which was just in the middle. And I just slapped an invisible texture on it, but you can see the shadow is there. I never realized that. So evidently I'm going to have to find some better way to make something invisible, but still get rid of the shadow. Actually, no, wait, I've got a disable lighting tool. I've got a tool that I can use to disable the shadows. So it's all good. I just didn't do that here. And then the sound of the door and the entrance sounds, those are actually from the map. And I'm remembering now that I did actually, like, I was invisible, but I, like, actually moved into the closet to bring them in there. And then we get all the source ragdoll jank sounds.
Noelle after yesterday.
I love Kris just bouncing back up and all the dust in there. It's just fun source jank. It's a great visual slapstick gag. And I like how I was able to use the actual sounds built into the map. And then the 1 second later title card that lasts for exactly 5 seconds. It's a stupid joke and I love it. Especially building off of the previous two time skip cards, where the second one got shorter than the first, and then this one's 5 seconds long.
Alright, they're all good. Let's go. Crap, I need to stall more.
So to stall more, I was trying to figure out, how exactly am I going to explain this, multiverse hopping thing, where they're going to all these different media universes, and I figured, well, they're all on YouTube, so Kris pulls up YouTube and makes a Dark World out of YouTube. The throwing the phone animation is just boom.
Oh, hey, Kris, you dropped your phone.
And you can just barely see them pull out the knife.
Dude, you good?
Technically, Kris should not have this much control while the soul is there, but I kind of get off the vibe that, like, they intentionally try to trip themselves. Like, they pull out the knife and then start walking forwards with the intent to trip on purpose to, like, quote-unquote accidentally open a Dark World, while still under the soul's control.
What the?
I did make sure to have the detail of the red eye. This bit, the whole Dark Fountain bit, there's an add-on that someone made that's like the Knight's Crowbar that you can use to, like, create a Dark Fountain effect. And there's also an alternate version that actually lets you make a portal to another map. But this was really hard to do, and you can just barely see on the floor at the bottom some kind of black marks, which could be seen as shadow from the fountain opening, but that's actually from my multiple attempts to create this effect. You'll see it in the behind the scenes footage, but it was a bit difficult to do while also not being visible. because even though I had like invisibility on my player model, it still showed my outline, so I had to get out of there like super quickly. And luckily on this last one,
dude, you good? What the?
Luckily on this last attempt, I was able to get out of the way before the fountain opened, so my player model, like the outline, was not visible, or the silhouette. And yes, I played the full effect because I spent so long trying to get it to work, and the effect is so good I had to leave the whole thing in. Because with smoke, the shadowy smoke just like filling the whole room and actually adhering to the walls. And so I just let it run until Kris and Susie were fully obscured by it. And then Des comes in, or the knight.
Damn it, Kris, how hard is it for you to follow the plan?
But then with the voice, you can obviously tell that like I subscribe to Death Knight theory. It makes so much sense. And it's definitely a case of, Kris diverging from the plan that they have. What that plan exactly is, we don't know.
Plan. God f***ing damn it, Kris, where the f*** are we?
I had to put that in there. Like, even before the Susie title drop meme, like, we had Kris and Susie multiverse memes with them just ending up in random places, and Susie, God freaking dang it, Kris. In case you're wondering, I did not actually drop the F-bomb. I can actually bring up the audio file. I said fricking and frick, and then just bleeped it out, so it sounds like I actually dropped the F-bomb. And so here's that audio track.
God freaking damn it, Kris, where the frick are we?
So, I did not drop the F-bomb, I just censored the fricks to make it sound like, yeah, the actual F-bomb. Is there any reason I had to do that? No, I just prefer not to swear. Or at least not to that level. I don't normally swear in general, but if I'm doing voice acting, then I tend to go to the level of damn ass hell. But anything beyond that, I'm probably gonna, like, censor over me saying a similar word, so that sounds like the actual swear word, but I didn't actually say it. I don't know. I don't really have any reason to do that other than personal preference. Yeah, this was a reference I had to do, just combining the two Kris and Susie multiverse hopping memes. And the first place they end up is SMG4, because I had to fit SMG4 into this animation somehow. And I am actually using the full version of the exact remix that they used for the outro. And so this is the sort of build-up. That build-up bit that, like, most people don't know, because right after this it goes into the clip of the remix that they use for the outro. This was unintentional, but the flashing lights on the castle actually line up. Dun, dun. The flashing lights kind of line up with the beat.
Hey Kris, check it out. SMGs. 4 of them.
And so this is kind of, setting the format of the rest of the video. Susie will say something that sort of involves the title of the piece of media. So in this case, SMG4 is kind of a hard one to do, but SMGs, 4 of them. And this cardboard box that she's getting them out of, the model for that is actually the head of the box cult leader from the Revelations arc. And I like how, she lifts her arm up just enough that you can then see the SMG4 characters in the background, and that leads over to them.
I think a delivery fee got dropped off at my castle, so... Hey! Get your hands off my merchandise!
Right off the bat, I am not super pleased with my voices for SMG4 and SMG3. Like, they barely sound like them, and you can really only tell that's them because, obviously you have the visual. And so, yeah, this is meant to be like a shipment for 3, to start selling at 3's Coffee and Bombs. In retrospect, it doesn't make the most sense why he would have, like, guns in the shipment, because, it's coffee and bombs. He doesn't sell guns. But I guess you can sort of see it as, diversifying his stock and, what he's selling. And there was an actual bomb in here. And I didn't want to just have just 4 and 3, so I threw Maggie in there as well.
I think a delivery fee got dropped off at my castle, so... Hey!
And there's a better look at their expressions in this shot.
Get your hands off my merchandise!
And you just barely see 3 hopping around back there. And also, little sneaky Mr. Puzzles up here. I just had to throw him in. I just had to throw him in. It's Mr. Puzzles. Just the idea of, he's spying on them all. I guess this does kind of throw, some questions as to where in the timeline this takes place, because obviously it can't be any time between the Puzzle Park arc and Guns and Puzzles. But then, like, he didn't get his normal outfit back until like between working at Walmart and then Soul Search. But at that point, like, he was searching for the YouTube remote, so technically this can really only take place like sometime during 2024. You know what? Whatever. It's funny. It's not meant to be canon to anything. I'm just trying to, come up with some reasoning. And then we got Meta Runner! Finally, some actual Meta Runner representation on the channel. And I have to give a huge shout out to some of the fan model makers who made the rest of MD5 and nearly the entire Meta Runner main cast in the SMG4 style, primarily basing them off of Tari's 2023 redesign. Belle and then also an Evelyn model were made by an eye artist, who is also sort of the leader behind the Showgrounds map. And then they also made this Theo model, and then the rest of them were made by, I think it's like HF and H. I have no idea how to pronounce their username. But these models are all really good. And for the controllers all moving at the same time, I did the same trick with, spawning an invisible item, which I just used the soul for every time I had to do that in this video. And then just welding all the things I wanted to move to that and just moving that item. And then with Theo on the monitor here, this is actually an example of me learning from what I did in the past. Because if you recall back to Who Broke It, I just had to make the view from Four's video camera of what was going on in the kitchen. I had to just take a screenshot of that and stretch that screenshot in GIMP to put it on his computer monitor, because I didn't know how to use the corner pin tool in Shotcut. But since then, I learned how to do that, and so I did that for this, so we can have actual video and showing Theo in the digital ether. Which the map for that is like Uyuni Salt Flats. I've also got a better map that I found to represent that doesn't have like these sort of almost mountain-looking things in the distance. And also the newer map that I found is brighter. And the overall map for this scene is actually pretty interesting. This is GM Boreas, because Meta Runner doesn't have that much stuff on the GMod workshop, and definitely no map. So the map I had to use for this, trying to like sort of recreate MD5's hideout, is GM Boreas. And you'll see it in the behind the scenes footage. But this is like in sort of underground bunker lab area. I think it works well to give off some of the same vibes. And Kris and Susie just popping up from the background. Also, something I want to point out, technically, this doesn't make the most sense timeline-wise, because, spoilers for the end of Meta Runner, Tari sacrifices herself in order to help revive Lucinia, and then also, Lucinia doesn't have her arm, her Meta Runner arm, and Masa also loses his at the end of the season. So this scene does not make the most sense, and also, Tari and Theo are stuck in the digital ether, and then also someone else shows up who technically should not still be around.
These guys are really good at running this game, Kris. They must know the meta.
So you might be wondering, why is Lux there? That's actually the AI Lux that Sheridan made. I just had the idea that Tari was able to save his code and repair him in the digital ether, kind of as thanks for helping her find a way to save herself and Theo. So this whole scene is definitely in some fanfic territory of everyone lives. And Kris and Susie moving up is also done with the soul. I don't think you can see the shadow. Yeah, I think their shadows are too close together for you to be able to see it. And unfortunately, everyone else's hands stopped moving because I had to move Kris and Susie in there. And then we got murder drones! And this is like the most action-packed scene in the whole video. I just want to show the whole thing in one solid shot before we talk about it.
Kris, we gotta get out of here. We're gonna get murdered by these drones.
That might be my favorite scene in the whole video, just based on the quality and how action-packed it is. I mean, it could be more action-packed, the animation could be better, but I was still really proud of this one. So this energy ball came from a placeable effects pack, and it was, I think it's for like the BFG 9000 from Doom. And so the sound I used for when Jay fires that off is the BFG sound. And I just kind of want to explain the context of this scene. This is meant to be, post-finale. In the credits for the finale, Jay was kind of seen repairing the ship, possibly to try and escape the planet, to escape Copper 9. And so the idea of this is the murder squad has showed up to try and stop her from escaping, because they need to bring her to justice for all the stuff she did. And Uzi showed up with the railgun. Technically, Thad should probably have the railgun, but it's Uzi's railgun. She built it. Yeah, I think I did get the colors right for her tail eyes, to have, Sin still be in the tail. I made this before we got Fight Till I'm Good Enough. And the railgun sounds are the actual railgun sounds that I found. Technically, it should just be like one long beam instead of a shot. Also, unfortunately, the lighting on the map is so dark that you really can't see their mouths. I can't remember which map this is, but it's one of 2 different Copper 9 maps that I've got. Yeah, with where the lighting is, you can better see Jay's mouth as she flies away. And like, this was really smooth here. Or this, I think it was pretty smooth. It looks smoother in action, because like the smoke from the laser disappears. But I cut to a clip of me just blowing up an invisible explosive barrel. And also the special fire is from a G-Fire, which is a really nice fire add-on.
Kris,
and that's how we got this big burning blaze as the ship that Jay was planning to use to escape is now engulfed in flames. And it's really hard to see, but she's, got her hands on her head panicking. So the murder squad foiled Jay's plans to escape.
look at this, Kris. This circus seems just like Cyberworld. It's digital. Pretty amazing.
Susie mentioning Cyber... This actually reminds me of something I was going to mention earlier, but, Susie mentioning Cyberworld. In hindsight, I really should have done more of Kris and Susie, like, referencing stuff from their past adventures, in comparison to the things that they're encountering, hopping Multiverse. Like, I think it probably would have been neat, when they were in SMG4 to have them encounter puzzles and, have some reference to Tenna. Hey, this is Editing Geeky. During the original recording of the commentary, I completely just forgot to finish what I was going to be talking about with this bit. I was also going to mention how, like, when Kris and Susie go into the Owl House world, that, they should have maybe had a interaction with a Titan, and they start freaking out, and then it's just King. But then in hindsight, it's probably best that a bunch of clips stayed shorter. Just kind of keep things short and sweet. But yeah, you can see just like all the ways I had to like splice up the titles. And I made the pun parts all caps. Just to make it easier to tell. And this is a good digital circus map. There's actually 2 different maps that I would use if I was making digital circus animations, because there's this one of the main area, and then there's another map of the hallway, along with the bedrooms that we've seen so far.
Bubble? How did they get in here? Where did they come from?
I'm a bit more satisfied with my Kane voice acting there, compared to the 4 and 3, but it's still not perfect. And, like, these models of the digital circus characters are really good. Like, these are all fan-made.
Where did they come from?
I did a bunch of takes of, Kane's just kind of, whoa, waving around in shock and surprise, and like, what's going on? And also, if you take a look closely, this little wood mannequin. I was making this after episode 5 came out, I think before episode 6. Okay, yeah, this was definitely before episode 6. I made this all in the summer. Episode 6 was like in September. In episode 5, there was the brief thing with the wooden mannequin person, seemingly spying on them. And so I decided to throw them in because I found a good model for it. And at the time that I'm recording this right now, episode 7 is a couple days away, and judging by the trailer, this wooden mannequin person is playing a role in it. So, still don't know what exactly is up with them, but it's kind of fortuitous that I threw them in. And then I'm making this right now. By the time this goes out, the episode will already be out, so you'll know what role they play. But I don't yet.
Those witches back there are saying there was this bird shaped like a stretchy tube. And
yeah, we got the Owl House segment, and Susie was talking about Hootie there. Stretchy tube bird. Used to be in a door.
And the lady who lives there turns into a bird monster?
It's kind of awkward how, like, I avoided having Susie say the word owl until she drops the title.
It's like some kind of owl house. This place is weird. Let's go, Kris.
Probably the most interesting part of the scene is Luce and Amity in the background, and seeing her reactions to, like, who are these people? I'm very glad that someone made models of their epilogue designs. And then also the pack that has those, has Amity's staff, Ghost, in her staff form. But then for String Bean, that comes from another add-on, and the prop is kind of odd because only String Bean herself has collision, and not the staff, which is a body group. So I had to do some trickery with a dupe and just some other stuff. It'll probably show in the behind the scenes, because it was a bit finicky to do. Lumity moments! And that was another case of invisible soul, weld them both to it, fly the soul away to fly them both away equally. The map is kind of interesting. This is a fan-made map called the Fargrounds, which was the initial fan-made map for the Showgrounds. But the base map doesn't have anything on it, and I think they made like a separate castle prop that you could put into it. But this map is mostly obsolete, but I thought it could be good to sort of ish represent the Boiling Isles. Doesn't do the best job of it, but working with what I have.
Here we go!
Mario time! And the music track that I've got in the background is actually the Mario Kart World remix of the classic Super Mario Bros. Theme, which is a really nice remix.
Yeah.
That was definitely the smoother of all the different actions Mario does in here. Or at least of the jumps.
Yeah.
Because that one he has to hang in the air for a bit while the brick blocks fall down. Which I think I was originally gonna like kind of split it in multiple pieces, but I decided to just create some smaller brick blocks as the breakage. In case you're wondering, yes, that is the Tom scream from Tom and Jerry. I just thought it would be funny to include.
So long, Bowser.
You'll see in the behind-the-scenes footage, but getting Bowser to be standing up and then, throwing the Mario ragdoll at him and having him fall down, get impacted by it. I had to do some stuff with weld constraints and stuff. Also, Bowser's head does shrink a bit when he gets surprised. That's a little SMG4ism. And so in the subtitles, you know how in Mario 64, when he throws Bowser, the iconic line of, "So long, eh, Bowser?" But so many people misinterpret it as "So long, gay Bowser?" When he gets to the A part, or to the G and then A, yeah, I had the subtitles changed.
This Mario guy seems pretty super breaking that brick, gay Kris?
And similar thing with, the end of Brick and the start of A. And this is a reference to the start of the opening cutscene of Hotel Mario. "Nice to the princess to invite us over for a picnic, gay Luigi?" And it's supposed to be, picnic, a Luigi, but how he said it, that spawned the infamous gay Luigi clip. And so I had Kris and Susie in the right poses for walking. And it is correct with Susie being on the right-hand side, where Mario was, and Kris being on the left, where Luigi was. Looking back at it, I probably should have swapped where Susie's legs were to be more accurate to the original cutscene. Want to talk real quick about Eggman's laugh here. In case you don't recognize it, it's from Sonic Prime, where Eggman was voiced by Brian Drummond. The reason I went for a Sonic Prime voice is partly because that's my favorite Eggman voice. It brings the some of the more menacing aspects of Dean Bristow's portrayal from the two Sonic Adventure games and Heroes, as well as some of the more kind of goofier gruffness of Mike Pollock's interpretation in pretty much everything from Sonic X and Shadow the Hedgehog onwards. But the reason I went with Brian Drummond instead of just going for Mike Pollock is because Mike Pollock sucks as a person. I'm not sure if you've seen some of the crap he was saying on Twitter, but just saying some, really bad Zionist crap and saying that the innocent people killed in Israel's genocide of Palestine were just collateral damage, and he was talking about being circumcised or whatever, or not being circumcised. I don't know, whatever it is. But he was talking about that on his Twitter, and when he's, the voice actor for a character from a series popular with children. So it's like, don't be talking about that on Twitter. Seems like terminally online and unable to put the phone down because he told people, like, don't tweet at me during these hours because that's my family time. Like, dude, just put the phone down, come back to it when you're done with your family time to respond to people. And it's super egotistical, and he was bad-mouthing Dean Bristow, who had passed away. And when some people were saying that, their favorite voice actors for Eggman were anyone other than Mike Pollock, he was just saying, it's just because of nostalgia. So they gotta replace him as soon as possible. He does not deserve to be the voice anymore. after those things. Also, they gotta replace Karen Strassman as Rouge because she's got a whole laundry list of crap, and Wally Winger as Qbot because he's just straight up racist. But I'll get off that soapbox for now and we can talk about the video. That whole like loop-de-loop, I am pretty proud of that. But you see, Sonic's running is just, he's in one pose. And then he gets to the loop, and he goes into ball form. Going through the loop is actually made up of 2 clips, and you can see the difference there. With how far back he is. And he keeps running. When you put it all together, it's pretty smooth. But unfortunately, there's the water in the background betraying me, especially because of how I had to speed up the footage to get him going through the loop. So the flow of the water betrayed me. Yeah, the reason I had to split the loop into 2 halves when he got to the top was just because I was standing in one spot and kind of using the fizz gun to pull the ball up to the top. But then you get to push it back for the next clip in order to have him go down the backside. I know some people would say, oh, just use stop motion helper, but I don't know how to use that yet. And that's another voice clip from Brian Drummond as Eggman in Prime.
Whoa! Did you see that, Kris? The hedgehog went at like Sonic speed.
And now we got Rivals of Ether. And I think it's very obvious to tell what map we're on. This is Woohoo Island from Wii Sports Resort. Because, there's almost no Rivals content on the Gmod workshop. These Zetterburn and Raster models are 2 of 6 add-ons on the entire workshop. There's also models of Fleet and Forsburn from Rivals 2, and then a completely fan-made Eliana model, and then some, music stuff from a fan-made stage that is literally just a Deltarune clone, entirely coded as a rival stage. And unfortunately with these Zetterburn and Raster models, and also the Fleet and Forsburn, they're only player models and not ragdolls, so because of their odd proportions, they get a bit janky. So because of that, I pretty much kept them entirely in place. And unfortunately, this is another map where just parts of the map betray me, because the clouds move. And they move very obviously. It's very annoying. And the sound effects I actually got from Rivals of Ether 2.
Let's get out of this ether.
And the sound effects that you hear in the background, I just left the CPUs fighting each other in order to get some more fluid sound effects.
I don't want to get caught in these Rivals fights.
Then I was able to use the same map when we went over to A Hat in Time. Because the Woohoo Town sort of gave off some Mafia Town vibes, so I thought it was close enough, because there's no Hat in Time map on the workshop. The finger posing on these Mafia guys is not great.
Hey! Down with the Mafia!
I do kind of like Hat Kid's little jump down. I think I did that well.
Gonna be honest, I thought we were toast there, Kris. Lucky that kid with a hat got here just in time.
Unfortunately, again, I'm not that good with actual animation in Gmod, so this was the best interpretation of the smug dance I could do.
There's barely anything in here.
I'd have to check what Minecraft map this is. Alright, this is TTT Minecraft City V5, if you're looking for that. But the chest in here, that was just a prop that I placed in. The other stuff was just built into the map.
Well, Kris, looks like we'll have to mine for materials so we can craft a way out of here.
Short, simple, to the point, I could have done, first we mine, then we craft, let's Minecraft! I'm kind of sad that there's really not many Minecraft maps that use the modern textures, so I had to use the classic. The pickaxe, yeah, just the pickaxe, not the chest. Pickaxe is the modern texture. Surprisingly, there's a Terraria map. Yeah, it was a map originally made for Counter-Strike. It's FY_Terraria_GM, but it's pretty good. There's 2 different structures on it, you'll see. Well, 2 main structures on it, and a couple things around. And there are actually a good handful of Terraria models. Unfortunately, there's only 2 NPCs. There's the Guide and the Dryad, who uses her model from Dungeons Defenders 2. But it still looks pretty good. And there's no night variant on the map. I just use a tool to edit the skybox and turn it black, and then I put on a filter to just make the whole scene darker. And there are a good handful of bosses that have been made. And so there's just 3 overlapping boss spawn sounds, and then the whole Moonlord sound. And I guess you can't see the other structure on here, but there's a sky island up top. I have no idea if you'd be able to reach that in an actual Counter-Strike game.
Chris, how the hell am I supposed to make a joke line for Terraria?
That's sort of just a little bit of lamp shading the whole joke of the video. So the audio for this is from that one Moonbase Alpha video. Yeah, the audio is like from this Moonbase Alpha video. This video is a classic. Also, I'd like to point out, Master Gur, that is the guy who played Bubby in Half-Life VR with the AI Self-Aware. He had a part in this. But then I applied it to Among Us because there was a fan-made animation using that audio with Among Us. So I basically just sort of recreated this-ish, but in 3D, in GMod. I love the little detail of, like, orange and yellow are just sending blue out through the trash chute, just sending blue's corpse out. I probably could have added, like, more cosmetics to the different crew members. And I'm realizing that it is a bit hard to see green moving across the screen. The bitrate murders through the window.
This is bad, Chris. We gotta get out of here before we get killed by the imposter among us.
I'd have to check the model. Like, I'm not sure if Susie's eyes are meant to glow in the dark. Okay, this might actually be one of my favorite parts of the video. The TF2 part, which I have barely played TF2. I tried picking it up, and I've only played it for like 5 hours, and that was almost 2 years ago. But I really think that this upcoming scene like really distilled a lot of great memes about TF2, and a lot of iconic sound clips. The iconic combo of just, Heavy getting healed by a medic.
Medic! 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 Doc! Come on, man!
That's sort of playing into the stereotype of, like, scouts that just rush into danger and get hurt and then yell for medic. And, like, I've even got his leg bent backwards at the knee. Bent the wrong way. That's an iconic soldier scream. I did really want to include that scream, even if it does mean that a soldier dies during the video. Rest in peace, Rick May. But you can see just barely in the background the sniper, which also the clouds on this map are it's another map that betrays me. I shouldn't even need to introduce this map. This is 2 Fort. You just barely see the gunshot and a little bullet tracer appears, and then the crit sound when the soldier gets hit.
Sniping's a good job, mate.
And Sniper is just pointing directly up into the air. This is because of the whole Lamau box, hacking with Sniper. How you just get a whole bunch of snipers pointing directly up into the air and insta-killing everyone. I think they've fixed that bot problem. I think I heard they fixed it. But then again, I heard a while ago that they fixed it, and they didn't, because the fix didn't actually work. But
put this dispenser here. Building a sentry. Now put this teleport.
In the subtitles, had to put in a putus. Like, this one isn't really based on any specific meme. It's something that I just think probably happens of, someone saying, hey, engineer, build this thing here. And engineer doesn't build the thing they want.
Teleporter going up.
Hey, I really wanted some iconic sounds, so I had the
You're doing good, lad.
Maybe I should have put a sunflower on Demo's head as he was saying that. The Demo flower. You're doing good, lad. But the idea here is that, he interrupted Pyro, who accidentally set the bomb on fire. And actually put like an invisible explosive barrel or something there, and then blew it up.
Get behind me, Doctor!
This is the only audio in here that isn't actually from TF2 itself. It's from a video. I just found this upload from 2008.
Get behind me, Doctor!
Jawohl!
Charge me!
Ja!
I won't continue. I think you get the point. So I was referencing that, but then you might notice Medic doesn't have any medic weapons.
Jawohl!
Charge
It was a spy, and this is how he fit in another meme.
me!
Surprise, but sex.
Yep, that's another iconic meme. You can just faintly hear the song fading out.
We're in trouble here, Kris. We aren't gonna stand a chance unless our team has a Fortress 2.
Had to let the whole song play out. I will say it was tough to get Spy's animation here, especially because like with where he was getting affected by the shadows, so I had to disable lighting on him, which is why he looks different between shots. And also, you can just very briefly see Heavy's face of disgust and pain.
Hello, Gordon.
That is an actual line. That is an actual recorded line from the series, from Half-Life VR with the AI self-aware. I put that on Gordon, just to, further hint that this is HLVR AI. And also, the sort of, like, hunched-over pose that he has is apparent. If you look at the behind-the-scenes footage for HLVR AI, this is sort of the pose that he was in.
The monkey walking around.
I don't look like
Yep.
a monkey. I look like a gibbon.
So he's got this sort of hunched-over pose. So I recreated that here. Also, Benry's just looking over his shoulder, not giving him personal space.
All this VR and AI stuff. You'll waste half your life if you obsess so much over it. We're software enough to know that, right, Kris?
That was probably the most drawn out of all the joke lines.
A place this huge under the surface? We'll sure have a tale to tell, won't we, Kris?
And I had to bring it back around to Undertale.
Human, don't you know how to greet a new pal?
For this, I basically just found like essentially Vanta Black, I guess, but just completely black texture with no lighting, and put it over Sans to recreate his shadowy look before Frisk turns around and shakes his hand.
Hey, aren't you the convenience store guy?
So in this case, they did talk to him at some point, either at the end of Chapter 2 or early in Chapter 4.
Whoa, I thought I'd never see you guys again.
And I made sure to have Sans speaking in lowercase, except for when he's unknown, because when he first approaches Frisk in Undertale, he's speaking with normal capitalization, but then he switches to all lowercase. And I was saying that he never thought he'd see them again. This is, going with the theory that Sans is originally from Deltarune and then went to Undertale.
I'd never see you guys again. I know that look. Sorry about the mother befriending back then. But hey, she's here too.
I'm still not pleased with that line. I have no idea what I was thinking when I wrote it. Like, sorry about that, but hey, she's here too. Like, that doesn't make sense.
I'm keeping it platonic though, especially since she's behind a door most of the time. But still, respectfully, MILF.
That line alone is enough to make Kris want to rip their soul out.
Kris, what the hell?
And I made sure to use the white eye correctly.
Now listen here, you skeletal mother befriender.
It's Mother Befriender, not Mother Fricker, or the more expletive version of that.
Oh, there's what I was looking for. Be right back. What the hell? I'm free!
Sans took the soul far away. Kris is finally free. I like how I paused the church bell when Sans teleports, really giving off the, feeding into the interpretation that he's literally pausing time and then walking to where he needs to go and then restarting time.
Player, I remember your genocides.
And here he says player instead of human, because, we're going on a more meta level.
And you are snow graves.
And yeah, the whole, I remember your genocides meme.
Yeah, what are you gonna do about it, Sans Undertale?
Calling him Sans Undertale.
You and Undyne aren't the only super bosses in town anymore. I've beaten Jevil, spammed to Neo, Snowgrave spammed to Neo, the Shadow Mantle, the Roaring Knight, the Hammer of Justice. Did you know Gerson is cracked?
Contrary to what the soul says, I have only actually beaten Jevil and spammed to Neo. I have never done Snowgrave, and when I played chapters 3 and 4, well, the first time I played through them, I didn't find the secret bosses, obviously didn't beat the knight. And then when I replayed chapters 3 and 4 for a more recent video, I was originally planning on just playing through them while skipping everything that wasn't necessary. So I didn't fight the secret bosses either.
Did you know Gerson is cracked out of his mind? Stop praying for Grandpa, he's too strong.
The whole stop praying for Grandpa, he's too strong. That was like another meme that was running around after Gerson as the Hammer of Justice got revealed. All the animation I had to do with the soul, I basically just, lined up my took my recording and just moved the soul around while listening to the recording.
Buddy, I can't hear a word you might be thinking.
If Kris can't hear the soul, Sans can't either.
Now, I know we've done this song and dance before, but seeing as you don't have what you need to actually beat me...
I should have been more, clear about what Sans means by what the soul needs to actually beat him, which is a vessel and a weapon.
Oh crap. It's a beautiful day outside. Birds are singing, flowers are blooming. On days like these, gamers like you should...
This is sort of meant to be a fake out of, wait, did Sans get hit? Nope, the soul did. Kris finally got a chance.
Thanks for distracting it. You're forgiven. Just stay away from my mother. Well, Kris, I don't know what exactly just happened, but this sure was a weird route across the multiverse.
And bringing the joke full circle, where we just make a joke about the title of the video itself.
Yeah, we should probably head home now. My biggest problem is fixed anyway. Now I just have to fix what it did to Noelle.
So we do know that Kris has been trying to repair the damage soul has caused, since in the Chapter 4 reroute, it's implied that at the end of Chapter 2, before getting back home, that Kris brought Berkeley to the hospital, and also went to Noelle's house, and apologized, and took the thorn out of her finger, just trying to fix things, but then of course the soul messed things up again.
Wait, what happened to Noelle? I'll tell you later. We need to get to the festival first. See a great door anywhere?
I feel like people kind of gloss over the great doors, but that's probably just because we've only seen a couple. But they are an alternative method to leaving a dark world.
Nope. Seen plenty of doors, but none of those great doors. Can't you just seal the fountain to get us out of here?
And that's the oh crap moment, because you need the soul to seal the fountain.
You gonna seal the fountain? Kris? Kris? You gonna tell her, or should I?
And obviously, Sans knows.
Kris, what did you do?
And Rouse finally gets here.
Toothpaste boys, man.
And then everyone's
something must be
here.
Wrong. It seems if thou hast royally screwed thine pooch.
I love that line that I did for Rules. Rules is fun to voice. I just screwed it. Whenever I voice Rules, I try to always roll all his R's. Screwed it. I'm not good at rolling R's. Screwed thine pooch. He's definitely a character you have to warm up in order to voice, if you especially wanted to roll the R's.
Oh, it seems the Lightner has made a big mistake.
So with Jevil showing up on Susie, that could be implied as either... I think Jevil's Tail is best used on Susie, but I'm not sure. But if they instead went for a violence route, then she probably has the Devil's Knife. It's not entirely clear if... I guess it's not entirely clear if on this specific run, if they did Hammer of Justice and got the Axe of Justice. I think I heard somewhere that you can't even do that fight if you're on a Snowgrave route. But I think you're still able to do Hammer of Justice on a weird route. I just had Jevil here because of the Devil's Knife.
First, you...
And then Spamton because, no matter what, if you're doing a weird route, you're going to fight Spamton Neo alone, and you're going to get the Puppet Scarf. So, Kris gave that to Rouse.
You made hyperlink blocked with that Hoochie Mama. Now this, not a very big shot. Move of you, Kris.
Spamton is also pretty fun to voice. I'm not entirely sure what voice I was going for there, if it was a bit more Alex Rochon, or just a bit more trying to be similar to the actual sound bites. And then Kris is just losing it, you gotta be kidding me. And then this is, absolute brick joke from the beginning of the video, where the first two title cards, the second one got shorter, and then this time, it's, less than a second, but it has the most text. Or at least the second most text. This is implying that, the roaring has begun, so many fountains, because that one in the school, and then Des opened one in Flower King, which is heavily implied to be where the next fountain's going to be in Chapter 5. Sans bringing Papyrus to the phase distorter, which is just feeding into, the classic Sans' nest theory. You just figure that, like, hey, what if their way to get to the Undertale timeline, or Undertale reality, or whatever, looked a lot like the phase distorter? And I got Papyrus in his cool dude outfit because, canonically, he makes his battle body while he's in the underground. So he wouldn't have that outfit yet. And finally catching up on Des, Noelle, and the others. Gaster just in shock. He's got his egg cartons. Someone made Carol and Rudy models. Got Carol just standing there, and Rudy in the Family Guy death pose. I will not elaborate on whether he's actually dead or just knocked out. Yeah, I didn't even bother translating Gaster's dialogue. I just had Des respond to him.
Nah, it's gonna be fine. This roaring junk can't really be that bad.
Sort of the interpretation I went with here is that, like, Des doesn't think the roaring is, like, that big of a deal and can be easily fixed. And that's more of just, sending a message. We'll see soon enough.
But what Kris and Susie's friend said about it.
Noelle says, Kris and Susie's friend, because I don't think she ever actually heard Ralsei's name. I'm not sure.
Des, why are you doing this? Hey, don't worry, Ellie. It's only temporary. Once Kris gets out of wherever they are, they'll steal all these up.
Again, Des thinking, oh, it's easy fix.
We could join them. Be a cool adventure. Especially since they already fought me as a super OP boss. And if I join their party...
Kind of the whole trope of, you fight an RPG boss and then they join your party.
That didn't answer my question of why. Oh, right. It's just to teach someone a lesson. A lesson to not hit me with your truck in the middle of the night, Asgore!
Driving in my car! But actually, it's a plot twist.
Wait, is that why my truck was dented after that party? Tori, you said you were sober.
Someone actually pointed out that Toriel hitting Des actually makes a lot more sense because, the prophecy thing, the prophecy panel says the Queen's chariot cannot be stopped. And also, Toriel's the one shown to have a drinking problem, so Toriel being the drunk driver who hit Des, it fits a lot more.
Apparently, my revenge has been directed at the wrong person. Oh, Toriel. Oh,
And Toriel swearing to cap it off. And then the credits, which this actually got copyright claimed the first time, but I haven't been getting anything else Deltarune copyright claimed, so hopefully this video won't get claimed. But I've got Queen, Shawm, Gerson, and Tenna all doing the kind of GMod default dance. And I'm so happy with how well it lines up. Like, it's timed so well with that first little bit of that portion of Raise Up Your Bat. Like, I've rewatched this section so many times because watching the four of them dancing in sync is so satisfying. So, written by the Geeky Gamer, animated by the Geeky Gamer, edited by the Geeky Gamer. Yes, everything by the Geeky Gamer, except assets and music and stuff. For these, I had to basically animate, set their ragdolls into animated player models. And then point the camera at them, and then I had to select the animation while also having the UI invisible, so that it wouldn't show. And then I had to layer all 4 recordings onto this video. And so technically for this shot, you've got the black background, you've got the yes everything, the accept assets. Those are 2 different text box layers, and then you got a layer for each of them. And unfortunately, Shawm's tail gets cut off. And just, crediting myself as everyone. And I had to crediting all the different franchises that got included. And just the quick thing to featuring no characters, just a location from Minecraft, because I didn't actually put any Minecraft characters in there. And I'm so glad with how well it all lined up with the song. And yeah, it took me weeks to make. Just 1 week to record all the audio and, grab everything, do all the animation, edit it all together. But I'm so proud of how it turned out. This is pretty much my magnum opus so far. Well, magnum opus is so far. That is the definition of magnum opus. And I really had to let the music run out. And that's that. That's the whole thing. Bonus, I just want to say, the set just got fully revealed today. Lego cooked with the minifigs. Yeah, that was a long commentary. Like, I was just commentating the actual video itself for an hour and 23 minutes. And we've still got the behind-the-scenes footage to look at. And you people are getting the cut-down version, which is still gonna be crazy long. So, let's go into that behind-the-scenes footage. This one has the most clips out of all the ones I've done. And in the church, there's actually some of the church music that plays in this spot in the game. I had a couple troubles posing Susie's arms while I was animating. And let me see. And you can see I had Rudy and Toriel set up over here because I was originally planning to have the camera face their way, because that's where they're standing in the original scene in the game. Never got around to actually pointing that way, so they never actually appear. So here we go, trying to figure out how the heck I was going to do the darkness effect in Kris's room. It's playing a lot with color modification. I was just trying so many different presets and editing those presets. And this is what I ultimately settled on. Nope, I didn't fully settle on that. Yep, that was the one. For the cage, I had to disable the fizz gun and also collisions on it so that I could get the soul in there to then move the soul around. Then I also had to do all the soul movements in just one hold of the fizz gun, because otherwise it would get stuck in the cage. As you can see, as that just happened. I couldn't get it out because I had disabled stuff on the cage. And you can see, as we then take it out of bounds on this map, over to the cloned hallway with the open door. Let's see, is there any spot where I got too close and accidentally got teleported into the dark world? And you see there's the soul. I had them welded both. I welded both of them too. And I just made it invisible. See, did I really get this first try? Oh, no I didn't. Because I forgot to be invisible. So my fizz gun was still there. Then second try. That was the second try. And see there's the swirly bit from the heading into the dark world. You can see it's kind of full out of bounds thing. Like that's where Castletown is on the map and all the interiors. So then I brought them back to the normal version. And I was just figuring out specifics of Kris pulling their phone out, which was kind of hard to do while also keeping their fingers out of the screen. And then came trying to do the opening of Dark World. I've got this Knight's Crowbar, and you can see how it works, ish. And you see, that would have worked really well if not for just one little problem. And see, yeah, when I opened the fountain, the silhouette of my player model appeared, even though I was, flying immediately downward out of the way. So that one was a dud, but there wasn't that much of a marker on the floor, so I could just try again. I spent a lot of time just trying to get into position with where Kris's knife was. Tried again. And I was, well, not only was I still in the shot, but I accidentally opened up my HUD again. And by this point, it started getting to be that, impact effect on the floor. So I had to move the camera downward to hide that effect. And eventually, nope, it still wasn't the perfect one because I still appeared. Yeah, and eventually I got the perfect one. Yeah, you can still see that, black impact on the floor. And I quickly went and recorded the night one before the shadow changed too much. So then this shot with Kris and Susie just in the completely black screen. This was on the light walls room in GM Construct, where you can paint the walls whatever color you want, and it's just like completely no lighting on the walls, so it works well for stuff like this. And that's also where I made the thumbnail. So yeah, with these I was really trying to recreate Susie's actual sprites that got used for the gosh freaking dang it, Kris. So I was trying to find a good cardboard box, and I just ended up using the box cult leader head, or the box cult leader box. And I scaled it up a bit to be a better scale. And I think I pretty much just add puzzles up here on a whim. Just like, why not? I'm spying on them. I had not mentioned this, the underrated joke of this the SMGs stacked on Chris's head. Alright, and there's the soul, which I guess I briefly forgot to make invisible before I actually animated it. And you see the monitor that Theo ended up appearing on was just green screen. I could have probably done something chroma key-ish, but I still don't know how to use that in Shotcut yet. You can see a bit of what I have to do every time I spawn in the Susie model. I have to remove the shadow over her eyes and bring her hair up in the face poser. And here you can kind of see some other angles of the Boreas room this is in. And I do remember I had to add some actual like light objects up top because otherwise this spot of the map was too dark. Also, if you're wondering why the hitboxes on Masa and Lamar's models are different, it's because I actually have them scaled up a bit, because the default size of these of their models is just a bit too small. It makes them, like, I think just about the same height as Tari when they should be a bit taller. So I have their models scaled up a bit. And then we get to the Uyuni Salt Flats, which is the original map I used for the Digital Ether. I was trying to find just a good position to make it seem like Theo is, basically pressing his face up against the monitor from the inside. And I don't know why I needed a separate video file for Lux showing up on screen. Or, yeah, Lux AI. So the murder drones bit, I was I remember I think was struggling a little bit to figure out how to hose V like on this perch up here. And just get a good angle. Trying to figure out a good angry face for J. Then having V just kind of swoop in at J. But I need to do it. I believe that was the one? Yep, that was the one. And I had, J just kind of pushing V off to the side. Yeah, this is some of the stuff from this placeable particle effects. Yeah, it was BFG projectile. That is for the BFG 9000. Yeah, having N dodge out of the way. And he starts firing. V flies back, and then... Alright, I was specifically making the solver tail yellow. The tails on these models are a bit hard to pose because they don't have any actual physical bones. So you have to manipulate them with the ragdoll mover or advanced bone tool or something. Yeah, from that pack, this is really long green laser. And you see the ship in the background is actually an effect. Because I think it was made for SFM, then someone ported it to GMod, but they didn't actually give it any physics. So it's not the best thing to work with. I really wish someone would make it a true GMod version. Yeah, you can hear how the sound. I basically just unfroze her and then flew her off the screen, which is... Okay, I was able to reset that to try it again. And then as for the explosion, I just got the oil drum and made it invisible. And then I turned it invisible and blew it up. And I spread tons of fire with the flamethrower from G-Fire. And then I also added just some fire effects. Yeah, because I think the G-Fire was kind of dissipating, so I just added fire from the placeable effects add-on. Yeah, by the time I had Kris and Susie set up, all the G-Fire had burned out. Circus pretty simple, except for my several different versions of Kane freaking out. This is where I got the idea to add the mannequin. Yeah, several different attempts of Kane's freak out. So yeah, this is my solution to String Bean not having an actual prop of her staff form with actual physics on the staff. Once I turn on the hitboxes, yeah, you can see it's a bit janky. But the thing that I did was basically just make an invisible pole that I welded to String Bean, who only has physics there, only has collision at the actual head of the staff. I just welded a pole to the bottom that kind of goes along the actual pole of the staff. And you can see that right there. That's the collision of it. So in some cases, the collision works fine, but then we get to trying to have them fly away. Actually, I might have been having more problems with Amity. There was a problem. I had forgotten to unfreeze something on Amity, and that messed everything up. Yeah, spam weld all the parts of a ragdoll together. Clearly still messed something up. Forgot to unfreeze something. Probably the jankiest part of the video. And then I finally did it. Mario jumping out of the pipe was pretty simple, but I wanted to have him actually land on his feet. Oh, I guess that was enough for me. You can see I tried to just cut the brick block in half, and something weird was going on with the collision. So I turned on my hitbox things, and I have no idea what happened, or why that happened when I cut the brick block in half. So I just decided to not worry about cutting it in half, and just make the two blocks smaller. I welded them together and dropped them both. And came the complexities of trying to get Mario to launch into Bowser successfully. And came back to that save, but Bowser just toppled over because the weld constraints didn't save. Until I finally found one that actually worked. I just put Sonic in a good running pose. I mentioned in one thing you can't replace, the Sonic model I use. The one I like to use has a center mouth, but I can just rotate his mouth to the side. Just weld him in place and zoomed him across the screen. As I just wasn't happy with that run animation. And oh boy, the trying to animate the loop-de-loop. That one I had him too far off, too far to the back. I put him in ball form. As there, I recognize that I have to do it probably just halfway. Send him a bit further back. Wasn't far back enough. Oh. Wow, I didn't even realize that was in multiple clips. Or at least more than 2 clips of him in ball form through the loop. And trying to get a good animation for him landing on Eggman's face. I'm not sure if how much the jankiness of these models shows up. But you can see Zetterburn's tail vibrating. Yeah, his tail's being janky. And then when I try to pose raster to dodge, yeah, you can see just how much the model is kind of glitching out. So yeah, I was trying to finger pose the Mafia dudes, but like pretty much nearly all the fist presets were sending their fingers backwards. I don't know why I didn't curl their fingers in more. You can see how I use this skybox editor. Just change the skybox color to black for night. Also, I think I moved the sun out of the way, the sun editor, and add just a bit of a darkness filter. You can see the full map. There's this like dungeon over there. Had to bring green outside the confines of the map. I guess Susie's eyes do just kind of glow in some environments. Yeah, I swapped red to this imposter model, which the crewmate hat doesn't fully bone merge to correctly, so I had to alter that. I did the HLVRAI part first. I actually had to do some face posing just while recording in order to get the smooth movement of Dr. Coomer's mouth. And also, I forgot to mention this, but I specifically recorded them next to the Coomer locker. This here was making use of some placeable particle effects for the gun, and then some advanced particle stuff for the metagun beam. I remember I'd spent a while getting Sniper in the right position. For Soldier dying, it was really just unfreezing him. Weren't really a lot of complicated effects in this one, at least in this portion. Yeah, and the bit with Spy was a bit trickier because of the shadows. Like, it's fine in this part. Then also I was really trying to get a good animation for Spy, but then if I move him too far back, he gets enshrouded again. I was really trying to get this animation of, he fully lifts up and just like slams back in. Yeah, if I moved any part of him too far back, then the shadows got him. So that's why I disabled lighting on him. And then Pyro's Flamethrower was just another placeable effect. And another placeable effect for the sticky bomb on fire. Oh yeah, I was planning on using this IED SWEP from M9K, Murderthon 9000. Yeah, that was not gonna work. Yeah, that IED SWEP wasn't gonna work because I had no way to move it into position or make it invisible. So I just grabbed another oil drum and made it invisible, and then shot it from off screen. And for Sans, I just found this black emission texture. Not that many more super interesting effects. Yeah, you can see how I did the movement for the soul. Because if you're looking
What are
closely,
you gonna do about it, Sans Undertale? You and Undyne aren't the only super bosses in town anymore. I've beaten Jevil. Spam to do about it, Sans Undertale. You and Undyne aren't the only super bosses in town anymore. I've beaten Jevil. Spam to Neo. Snowgrave spam to Neo.
and so I just moved the soul while having the audio in the background. And for Kris killing the soul, I just used the physical cut to literally cut it in half. And I had already pre-made the dark fountains. Yeah, for the phase distorter, there's no model for it, so I just edited it in. And, I mean, yeah, the last bits, there wasn't much interesting in these last couple scenes. And you can see how I did the dances for the 4 in the credits. Had the whole animated prop thing. Found the dance. And just started it while my UI was invisible. Go, white boy, go! Go, white boy, go! Go, white boy, go! Go, white boy, go! I did the same for Sham. Queen was harder to do, because this Queen player model is a bit buggier. And like what I was doing for most of them was, so like when I was spawning the other models, I was right-clicking and putting them in stand pose. When I did that for Queen, she just teleports like way off screen. But then, luckily, I was able to get the dance animation still up, and I just brought her back. And so I was able to do the, able to activate the dance on her. Unfortunately, some of her details really blended to the background. I didn't really think about that. And then Gerson's got a problem where his model is just full bright all the time. Like, this isn't just because of the room I'm in. Like, I've brought the Gerson model into completely dark rooms with no lighting, and he's always full bright. And then there's just the Rivals footage I captured for the sound effects. And I just left them fighting. I don't remember where in here is the sound that I actually used, but it's just to show you how crazy the editing was for this video. It's not even gonna fit all of them. Yeah, there we go. This is every single track on the video. Like all the video, all the audio. How it starts off, pretty tame. It's still pretty tame. And then, I forgot about this. When MD5 are playing the game, I had 4 different sound files of them. Well, 4 different audio tracks of them, of controller sound effects. Oh, and I forgot to mention this. To get the audio, to get the music for the Murder Drone segment, I did not know what the track was titled. So, but I had one of the Copper 9 maps that I have has like a sort of music player in the spawn room. So I unpacked the map, like extracted the files from it, and then looked into the music files and found the actual full music. And it's Click. Yeah, the song is called Click. And you see BFG 9000 fire, Uzi's railgun sound, murder drones for anyone that wants to use it. Smiley face. Tom screaming sound effect. All the Sonic running and spin dash sounds. Brian Drummond is Eggman. Sounds for Hack Hit attacking. The multiple Terraria boss spawns. The TF2 stuff got a bit elaborate. And then the video monstrosity of the first part of the credits. Yeah, there's not even a black background. I just put it over the base because it's just black by default, but there's still 6 layers of video. Oh, and it gets worse when you've got all the credits. And also the volume dies down. I recorded that from a previous version of the video, and I just realized that while I was going through the all the recordings. Yeah, this was one of my craziest videos to make, and absolutely one of my favorites. I put a ton of work into this one. It turned out really well. I'm so proud of it. So I want to give a big thank you to anyone who stuck around for all the commentaries on the GMod animations I did. It was really fun going back and taking a look at them, explaining some of my techniques, some of the jokes and details and stuff. I'm sure I'll do more commentaries in the future. It depends on how many more animations I make and how much more complex they get, because if I start getting ones that are even more complex than Kris and Susie's Weird Route, we're gonna be here all day. Like, I've been recording this total commentary for over 2 hours now, so yeah. But hey, this gave me, a good handful of videos to fill some gaps in my schedule. Not schedule, I don't have a schedule for uploading, but just gave some videos to bridge the gaps between other uploads. Yeah, I want to thank you again, and I hope to make more GMod animations in the future. I have some big plans. But those are going to have to wait for a little bit. Once those plans start, oh boy, you're going to be impressed. At least I hope so. I'm the Geeky Gamer. See ya!